As we all know, Kyrie Irving was traded to the Boston Celtics yesterday. I think it was in exchange for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and a future high draft pick. Can't remember whether it was second round or first round. But I think as far as winners is concerned, as far as this draft, that has to be yet to be determined. Off the top of my head, I would say that Boston got a little bit better. Cleveland got a little bit worse. Though I still think that Cleveland's going to the finals. I think that Isaiah Thomas is a matchup problem with their nemesis, the Warriors. Of course, Kyrie was always accused of not being a good defensive player. Isaiah Thomas is not a good defensive player. In fact, he may even be a little bit worse. His size, he's only 5'9". Kyrie is 6'3". While Kyrie did lead, I think Kyrie was second in NBA scoring. I think he averaged 28.9 points per game, second only to Russell Westbrook. Isaiah Thomas is a very good offensive player, but last year that offense was totally predicated upon him. They really did not have any good secondary scoring option. Al Horford could score at times, but they didn't really have, other than Isaiah Thomas, a guy who could put the ball in the basket on a consistent basis. In Cleveland, that's not the case. You have, of course, LeBron James, one of the great scorers of all time, no matter what his fan base want to tell you. Oh, he's not really a scorer. Yeah, okay. And the guy who's going to put up over 30,000 points per game is a scorer. You have Derrick Rose, who's going to be the X factor, coming off the bench, I'm assuming. The former MVP. You have J.R. Smith. Okay. You have guys that can score. Isaiah Thomas is still going to put up his, but I think he's going to average more along the lines of about, I don't know. If I had to guess, he's going to put up something like 18, 19, 20 points a game. But you never know. With the Celtics, they upgraded, in my opinion. You got a bigger player playing the point guard position in Kyrie Irving, a more dominant scorer, a guy who can create a shot even better. And in addition to that, you got Gordon Hayward, and this team has gotten better. I'm just not sure if outside their starting five they have enough to beat Cleveland. But I do think that they probably will be, because I don't know about the Wizards. You got to remember them too. They're going to be a top 3 team, Boston. Don't know if they're going to win the conference like they did last year. Didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things last year. But Boston's definitely gotten better. Okay, so barring injury, I see Boston winning 55 games or something like that. But my thing about Cleveland is, I just look at Cleveland and I always think about the matchup against, the Warriors, because the Warriors is they're just a team right now. Until Carmelo gets traded to Houston, and even then I'm not sure. But Golden State's that team, and I look at Golden State and I look at the matchup problems that Isaiah Thomas would have, man, and you put him at point guard. I just see, oh boy, I just see Stephen Curry just destroying that guy offensively. You know what I'm saying? Or if it's Clay, who's even taller, destroying this guy offensively. He's not a good matchup when it comes on the defensive end. And I tend to look at both sides, and Irving was at least the same size as Curry. You get me? At least he could, just his physical size could cause some problems, even though he wasn't a good one-on-one defender. But You got a guy that's 5'9" against a guy who's 6'3". Talking about Curry. That's not going to work. So they're going to have to put someone else on Curry because it's not going to work. So, but whoever Thomas is guarding is going to be the huge matchup advantage, because then if you switch, you put him on Thompson's going to light that guy up, man. He's going to have open look after open look. It's going to be like playing against your 10-year-old brother and shit. You know what I mean? Like, on the defensive end. And I still think psychologically that Thomas is going to struggle just from pressure, initially at least. I think he's going to struggle a little bit. Now they're going to be like, well, he played so well with Boston. Yeah, he did. But playing in Boston and playing next to the King are two different animals. And also, I want to say this too. You see a lot of people criticize guys like Durant, and we did it. I did it. But they criticize Durant for leaving franchises and going to get, some people for like an easy ring. And I always say that more because of the fans, motherfuck the organization. I was saying it more toward the fans. I thought it was fucked up, and I thought it was still sort of a weak move. But whatever, it worked for him. But nobody criticizes these organizations. Isaiah Thomas, I believe, won most improved player. I'm not certain about that. It might have been someone else. But the guy was second in the league in scoring, put up 29 points per game. All right. Balled his ass off for this franchise. Helped make Boston relevant again. After the last few years, after the trio of Allen, Pearson, Garnett left the scene. Helped to make Boston relevant again. All right. Put up 50-something points in the playoffs. Chose to perform show up for work despite the tragic loss of his sister. And then they trade the guy. And then they'll say, well, this is business. It's a business. Okay, well, with Durant and some of these other guys, it's a business. Even though I think the players have too much power now and it's fucking up the product. I don't like David Stern, but he saw that. He saw that when, excuse this, it's just an expression, but when the inmates run the asylum, okay, sometimes it's not a good thing. The players are chasing the money, and I don't blame them for that per se, but it's hurting the NBA when it comes to parity. The NBA has never really had true parity since the 1970s, but at least the best teams had to compete. There was some competition with the best teams, okay? You couldn't say for certain every year the Bulls were going to win a title. There were some years they were really favorited, but 98, 93, no. It was by no means sure means they were going to win the title. There were some years the Lakers had some competition with the Spurs and vice versa. But now the Warriors, maybe Cleveland, but that's a long shot. Everybody's healthy. There's no competition. Even with the other top teams in the NBA, there's no competition. It's boring. It's boring to watch, man. But whatever. That's just me, a little rant at the end. Tell me what you guys think.